We're on page 388. Maran had left us off with two halachot. One is who you're allowed to buy tzitziot from and who you're allowed to sell tzitziot to. And Maran told us that you're not allowed to buy tzitziot from a non-Jewish person unless they are a merchant. They have a store, they have a reputation they need to uphold. But you don't buy from a private person. By a Jew, we said that you can. And we mentioned that many Achronim say that nowadays, even from a Jew who doesn't have a reputation, you shouldn't buy from. You can't trust people like you used to be able to trust them. On page 380 we say, Goy she'enot hagav. What if there was a non-Jew who's not a merchant? He's a private guy, selling stuff out of his car. Ela mocher b'akai. Every once in a while, he's in the clothing business. Every once in a while he gets a shipment of talitot, that just pops in. Eino ne'eman. You cannot rely on him to know that these talitot are kosher. Ve'en liknot mimeno, and you should not purchase from him, ben talit mitzuyetzet, whether it's a talit that has strings on it, uven tzitziot levad, or even just the strings you can't buy from him. Ve'im kana mimeno talit mitzuyetzet, and if you buy from him a talit that has strings, tzarich leachlif hatzitziot, you have to switch the tzitziot be'acherot ksherot, with other tzitziot that are kosher. Ve'en hadavar mo'il, and it doesn't help shiatira tzitziot, to untie the tzitziot, v'ksharem chadash, and to retie them anew. Basically, the story is as follows. I'm going to buy a talit that has strings on it from some guy who's selling talitot. He's not Jewish. The talit, the actual clothing, does it have to be made for any particular mitzvah? No, it's just an article of clothing. The talit doesn't make a difference who made it. The tzitzit though, on the corners, those tzitziot must be not just tied lishma, they also must be twisted. Remember, when you twist those strings, they must be twisted for the sake of the mitzvah of tzitzit. The Chaye Adam, Rabbi Abraham Danziger, who was a special rabbi, he was the leading posek of European Jewry before the Mishnah Berurah. His opinion was that you can just untie the tzitziot and tie them on again. The Mishnah Berurah, who's the Chavetz Chaim, he says, I don't understand how you can just tie them and then untie them. That doesn't make any sense. How do you know that they were also twisted for the sake of the mitzvah? And therefore we follow the ruling of the Mishnah Berurah, which says that if you would buy a talit from a non-Jew and there were strings on it, it doesn't help to untie them and then retie them. You must purchase new strings or create new strings and put them on the corners of the clothing.
So you could buy the talit itself without the fringes. Correct. From a non-Jew.
Correct.
But the fringes have to...
Correct. Because they must be done for the sake of the mitzvah by somebody Jewish. Correct. And if I had to guess, most talitot come from many non-Jewish sources. China, Indonesia, who knows where they make talitot nowadays. Not the strings, the talitot.
Talit itself, yeah.
So where are they assembled then?
They have talitot made in China and things like that.
Some of them are doing some weird, that's what is really driving Denise crazy, because there's, quality issues and people are vendors that seem reliable all of a sudden will send out like their new line, and their new line is not as reliable as their old line. So
wonderful.
We like the ones that are made in Israel,
Yeah.
So in this situation, I'm sure that you could have a Jew who could tie tzitziot on such a talit.
Yeah.
Right? But you can't buy the talit with strings from somebody who's not Jewish. It just doesn't work that way. HaSholech tzitziot lechavero b'yad goy. It's very interesting halakha. Here's the question. When you order food from a kosher restaurant and they deliver it to you, I know it doesn't happen in San Diego so much, right? When they deliver it to you, the driver probably is not a Jewish driver. When they send the food, yeah, it's kosher at the restaurant, but how do you know it's not going to be switched out when you're selling the food? It must be sealed in a double seal. That's why when you go to the airplane and you order your kosher food, not in America, but like you find international to Israel or something, they have an aluminum wrap on the food with a sticker on it, and then they have a plastic wrap that goes on top of that. Because you have to have two seals. One seal, anybody can break and then reseal it. Two seals already, it's complicated. The Chachamim instituted that whenever you send food with someone who's not Jewish, it must be sealed twice. And now this is an assumption that these are people who have any reason to switch out the food. When you're dealing with tzitziot, you have a similar issue. You know, these tzitziot, the whole thing costs maybe $20, maybe. The strings, nobody's going to cut off those strings and put not kosher strings on them just so that you could, they can make a few bucks. But let's say you're selling someone a custom-made talit with Kehillat on the strings, and that Kehillat itself could cost a good $80, $90, $100. That Kehillat. So there is in someone's interest to untie those strings and put on a fake Kehillat. And in that situation, HaSholech tzitziot lechavero, somebody who sends tzitziot with his friend, biad goy, with a non-Jew, a non-Jewish messenger, tzarich sheyut tzurot v'chatumot b'shtei chotamot. No, they must be sealed and tied with 2 seals. Chotam betoch chotam. There has to be a seal inside of a seal. V'chol ze dafka, this is all specifically, ksheyesh lachush shema yachlifan hagoy. In a situation where you might worry that the non-Jew will switch out the tzitziot. כגון שהציציות הכשרות המהן יקרים, if they're very expensive ציציות. ואם יחליפן הגוי בציציות אחרות, יש לו תועלת במעשה הזה. He'll have some kind of gain if he switches this out. I would tell you that our ציציות today are probably not so interested in switching out the tzitziot. Right, it's not, tzitziot are not the kind. Maybe tefillin would be a different story, but tzitziot is not such a high level thing. And it seems like Maran, the Rama, wouldn't have such a problem with this today. Unfortunately, this halakha also applies not just to non-Jews, but there are sometimes Jews that are not much better that would do this in order to gain a few bucks. When you send tzitziot to him, you have to send them double wrapped with them. It's a very sad situation. And that is that you're not trusting a Jew to be able to carry out his holy messenger duty without tampering with the things inside. Unfortunately, this is true. This is very. There's in Israel people who only eat the certain hechshers. This is a great hechsher. That's great hechsher. They think this is the best hechsher. One of my friends was a shochet, was once in the north, and he used to do shchita. And in rolls some chain-smoking kibbutznik with a beaten-down car from an anti-religious kibbutz. And he rolls in and says, "What are you doing here?" He says, "I'm the guy who delivers the kosher stickers." It's his job. He has those special, they have in Israel, because there's so much, Arabs very often try to smuggle in not kosher meat with kosher symbols on it. Anybody can print on your computer, you stick it and stick it on food. So what they do is they started making these holograms, you know what I'm talking about? They're like shiny, they look 3D a little bit, and they have barcodes in them, so you know which batch they were from. So it's this guy's job. He's the one who distributes the stickers, and he stickers the food that they're kosher. I was like, this guy, the guy who doesn't keep kosher, the guy from the anti-religious kibbutz. How do you know some guy didn't stop him at the stoplight before and give me $1,000? I'll take your whole batch of stickers. They just have the awesome printing press that's capable of doing the holographic sticker, but so this whole
believe in its purpose.
This kind of person, it's a problematic person to send things with. When I was learning for smicha, you find that a lot, very often, in the Sephardic countries, the non-observant Jew was always trusted more than the non-Jew. And in the Ashkenazi countries, the non-observant Jew was always suspected more than the non-Jew. And it could just be a matter of reality. It was, you didn't have reform, anti-religious, it didn't exist in the Sephardic. You had people who may not have been so observant, but to go out of their way to make something not kosher wasn't really in their agenda. It could be that in Europe the reality was very different. And hopefully we'll never have to deal with these halachot. Here's a great question. What if you walk into Goodwill and you find a talit for $3 on sale? Some guy passed away. They put a talit on a hanger. Are you allowed to buy this talit? Can you assume that it's kosher? It looks kosher. Can you assume that it's kosher? Hamotze tzitziot bashuk. If you find tzitziot in the market, it's a place that doesn't sell tzitziot. Ven behem siman kalam. They don't have any kind of label. It doesn't say the brand on it or where they bought it. Im nira davar shenasuyot kilchatan. If it appears, $3.89. If it appears that they were made halachically correct, dahainu shekol echad me'achutim shazu kaful shmona. That you find that all the strings are double eighths twisted together. Remember we saw that every string can be twisted out. You find that one of the strings of the 4 is longer than the other one. So they can make the knots with them. You're permitted to be lenient. and use them. The reason, if somebody went that far to make all the halachic details take into consideration, probably was made by somebody who cared about halachot. You know, when Dan brought us those talitot the other week, you could tell they weren't made by anybody who knew something about halakha. And it could really, it's a telltale sign, sometimes in the craft, you can tell if a person knew what they were doing or not. You're therefore allowed to wear it and make a blessing on it because you're following the assumption that it is kosher. Some poskim say that nowadays, I don't know that it's true anymore, but in their times, this was written somewhere in Europe, who makes counterfeit tzitziot? You know, Ivan the Cossack wasn't putting out a counterfeit line of tzitziot. Today, though, it could be that reality has changed back to what it used to be. I'm sure there are people today putting on all kinds of counterfeit Judaica, and therefore, today you have to be careful what you didn't have to be a while ago. And from here you see something very important. People very often get upset. How can you change a halakha? Nobody is changing a halakha. Sometimes the reality to which the halakha was written has changed. It's not a heretical thing to say. Sometimes our chachamim were talking about a situation where people were making counterfeit tzitziot, and that was a problem. In a generation where they felt that wasn't a problem, that wasn't a problem. In a place where they were worried about the milk being mixed with not kosher milk, that was a problem. In a place where we're not worried about that anymore, it's not a problem. It doesn't mean we got rid of the halakha of Chalav Yisrael, because there are some countries where you'd still have to be careful about those things. You're going to Indonesia, I don't know, you're going to go some country, you can't trust them over there. Over there you'd have to be careful, but we didn't get rid of a halakha. We simply are saying the reality to which this halakha was written, it no longer is in existence, at least not where we are. It's a very normal part of the halachic process. People who observe halachot, which are not practical, just now, the whole discussion about kashrut, people get upset sometimes. They ask me a question, how could it be that it's true? Why did you ask me the question if the answer you're going to tell me is how could it be that what I'm saying is true? Either you trust that what I'm telling you is true, or ask somebody else. Why are you asking me and then questioning if it's true? Okay, I understand. The whole world of halakha has been shifted. It used to be, halakha was discussed, kashrut, always about flavor. You cook something in a meat pot, it must mean that if it was dairy, it received meat flavor to it. Now you could just pull up one of those chairs here to this table. Maybe the one between Edith and Marlene.
There you go.
And that was a normal thing. Of course, if you cook water, you boil water in a meat container, it's going to taste like meat. That was the whole premise of this halakha. Today, we use stainless steel pots. The whole discussion about flavor is moot. Stainless steel is not giving off flavor into your water, into your food, into your dairy, into your meat. Somebody who's intellectually honest, there have been a number of poskim already who've suggested this. You know, when you sit and talk about it was a meat dish, was it a dairy dish, was it hot, was it cold, it's all a fantasy game. I'll pay you money to boil water in any of your pots in your house and let me taste if I can taste the flavor of what was made in there before. Let me come lick one of your spoons that you put to the dishwasher. I want to see if it tastes like something. We live in a fabricated.
Stainless, you mean, not ceramic, not
Well, so if you're pushing me,
yeah,
even ceramic that's glazed.
some sort of.
I want to taste if there's something there. I'm not ready now to change the whole order of halakha. But we must be aware that we're dealing with it's a fabrication. We're teaching people things that are not accurate. Have you ever had a plastic container, you open it up, even after you've washed it, you can still smell what was in there before?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's called a porous material that absorbs flavor. That's what metal used to look like. If you ever go to a museum and look at just old steel utensils, they have holes in them. They have their
It's like cast iron.
Correct.
Cast iron, yeah.
We're not dealing with such a reality anymore. Your dishes that you use at home, the chances of them actually becoming meat or milk are slim to none. The fact there's a whole school of discipline in the Jewish community that still teaches that these are problems, that is the problem. We've taken Judaism from a reality situation into a no longer reality situation. And what do they say? But it says in Shulchan Aruch. I know what it says. I don't know what it says in Shulchan Aruch. My rabbi wrote the Shulchan Aruch. But this is not the same reality he's discussing.
So then how do you justify the separation of meat and milk pans?
It makes people more comfortable. And because I'm sure there are still pans that are not made from fine grade stainless steel. I'm
Yeah,
sure
you can
there
still
are.
find the cast iron skillets.
Okay, so because of that, I can't overturn the whole world of halakha. But when someone's
Yeah.
going to call me for a question, they use their stainless steel pot and this and that and the third thing. Chances are I'm not going to tell them they have to throw away their pot. But many rabbis will, and it's
Yeah.
out of ignorance of reality.
It's
The
called the
reality is
difference.
different.
It's the difference between an abstraction and actually using a real-time, actual existing thing. It's like you abstract in a space, a conceptual space, but it may or may not relate to an actual physical reality.
Okay, so today I had this conversation with a few people, and people were arguing with me about oil. If you buy oil without a hechsher on it, pure olive oil,
A lot of
You
people
mean
don't buy pure
virgin,
olive oil.
What?
A
you
lot of
mean
people don't buy
virgin
it.
olive oil, not,
I mean any pure olive oil.
Well, the thing is-
I know exactly what you're referring to,
Yeah.
and I don't agree.
so even double pressed and triple pressed
I
oil,
don't make a difference to me. I don't care which, if it's pure olive. Now, you should know, olive oil has problems in many countries that there's a lot of
Totally.
counterfeit olive
Yeah.
oil going on. So
Yeah.
I'm talking about you're buying this from what we would halachically consider a reputable source, a food chain that has a reputation they have to uphold. They have to,
One of the brand names.
you buy it on the corner market.
Not Bertolli,
So you're buying this from somewhere
it's canola oil.
reputable. Okay.
Yes.
Now, what
Mixed.
we're talking about here, and you should be careful. Sometimes it says olive oil blend in tiny little letters, or I'll say such a thing, and then you'll know what you're dealing with. Allow these speculations on the side for a minute. Of course, olive oil doesn't need a hechsher. It doesn't make it if it's a virgin press, if it's 10 times pressed. It doesn't make a difference. Why? It's just olive oil, and it wasn't cooked. It wasn't. There's not. Oh, what could be? They tell me, but maybe the utensils that were used were not kosher.
Utensils.
No, I want to remind you that these things are made in factories.
Yeah.
Nothing anymore is made in anybody's utensils. Fortunately or unfortunately, you're not getting anything from somebody's kitchen. It doesn't happen that way anymore. You're getting things from a factory which whole purpose is to produce olive oil. The machine that produces olive oil is not also making lobster cakes on the side. It doesn't. The machine can't do such a thing. It's not. It has. It's not. It's a reality. You have to
Yeah.
think about. What do they say? But maybe when they hot press, the machine gets hot. So let's give me a situation. Let's imagine that this machine was. What kind of not kosher oil is it? Tell me.
well, it could be animal oil.
Okay, so in the assumption that
That would spoil it within a week.
Yeah,
You
it'll
couldn't
spoil it
possibly
real quick.
sell an animal oil on the shelf.
very good.
Without causing
The
residues.
companies are more careful not to mix things because of themselves. They don't care about you. They care about themselves. If their product has a wrong flavor going on with it, if it can get ruined on the shelf because of something, if someone's gonna die of an allergy and they're gonna get sued for something, they're worried about it. But let's imagine it was used for something not kosher and it was hot and it was stainless steel and that machine got washed down. And even if it didn't get washed down, how much olive oil do you think comes out of that machine? A cup of olive oil? How many millions of
Tons.
gallons of olive oil
Tons.
coming out of there? Do you know there are laws in Judaism called nullified in 60,
Yeah.
These are not these are not like after the fact laws. These are laws that are, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai would eat these things. And so in which situation could you create for me olive oil that wouldn't be kosher? You wouldn't be able to. And so what's all the fear about? The fear is somebody's trying to make a buck off of you. And who did they train? They didn't train you. They trained your rabbi, they trained your teacher, they trained the school principal, they trained the whole world. They've already got them into a mindset. Like I've told you many times. You go to Europe, people don't buy anything with hechsher on them.
So do you buy olive oil without a hechsher?
It happens to be the place where I buy olive oil has hechsher on it. But even if it didn't have a hechsher, I would still buy it. I buy many things without hechsher. My mom, she does like dances in my kitchen, what you'll eat, what you won't eat, because many things in my house don't have hechsher. Why in the world would it need a hechsher? There's not one place Shulchan Aruch where it says something needs a kosher symbol. It doesn't say that anywhere. Some things might require supervision, and if you think for a minute that you're getting kosher supervision on something that has a kosher supervision symbol on it, you're also living in La La Land. If you think there's somebody actually watching those cows getting milk for you, and it's not a camera
4 o'clock in the
with a
morning,
live
no.
feed to some rabbi's office, then you are living in La La Land. If you think that factory in China has any kind of rabbinic supervision more than maybe a 3 times a year visit from some guy with a private jet plane, you are. It's
Or those Nabisco company where they make kosher crackers and they make non-kosher crackers.
Well,
It
they
just
use
depends who was there for the run.
Right.
Correct. These are all I'm not out there, but the kashrut agencies help us a lot. We're able to eat a lot of things in comfort, knowing that maybe someone checked into it. I'm not taking it away from them, but they then shouldn't come and bite us back and say all those things that don't need hechsherim do need hechsherim. Apples need hechsherim.
Apples?
Yeah. So why does apple juice need
An
hechsherim?
apple?
An apple.
Needs a hechsher?
No, I'll tell you it doesn't. So why apple juice needs a hechsherim? Why applesauce needs a hechsherim?
Orange juice.
Why do sliced apples in the store need a hechsher? Why do orange juice need a hechsher? What do they put in your orange juice? An elephant they put inside? A monkey? The pigs? They started putting pig blood inside of orange juice? What do they do? In which situation could you make for me not kosher orange juice? It takes a lot of talent to make something that not kosher. The realities are different, and you must apply halakha. Halakha is a living, it's almost its own being. It's a life. The moment you kill it, everything else becomes dead with it. Hamutzeh, so we said someone who finds tzitziot in the market. We got a last halakha for today. Asur, on page 390, it's forbidden. Limkol, to sell talit mitzviyetzet legoy. We mentioned this already last week. It's forbidden to sell a kosher talit with tzitziot on it to a non-Jew. Shema yilbash hagoy talit zel v'itchazer Yisrael. Maybe a non-Jew will wear this talit and he'll dress up like a Jew. V'itlevel Yehudi b'derech v'yargenu. He will accost a Jew along the road and he'll kill him. For example, when terrorists in Yerushalayim put on Hasidic garb and then carry out a terrorist attack. This is something that could happen.
It's scary how close this halakha is to what people
So,
actually did.
Yeah.
Correct.
Somebody sold it to them. Yeah. Well, they could have stolen it, but.
V'hu adin b'zeh l'inyan goya. This is also true about a non-Jewish lady. Now, nobody's going to think the lady walking around with tzitzit is religious, correct? Shasudim kol talit mitzviyetzet. We're not allowed to sell her kosher talit. Remember we mentioned the reason for this? If she ends up sleeping with a Jewish man for hire, or a non-Jewish man, and he gives her the talit, and she comes to the shul, hey, I have this guy's talit, who does this talit belong to? Chachamim wanted to protect even the criminals, and made sure that we couldn't sell. So this is what I mentioned already the other night, that halakha is looking also, not just for the holy Jew, but for the Jew that's doing things that are wrong. We're also looking out for them as well.
And someone who's in the process of a conversion, it's different.
It's a great question. Right. This is all a reality situation in which if you trust the person, you trust the person. If you can't trust the person, you can't trust the person. I'm sure there are Jews you shouldn't sell talitot to either. Correct? There are all kinds of strange places and things and where they come from. And for you, it's better not to buy my talit. Or I don't know, sell them some neon pink talit or something. Something with everybody would know that they're not one of us. Then chalek b'zeh ben goy shelo tagar le goy shel tagar. It doesn't make a difference if this man is a merchant or not. And then he says the last line, and I want to see if this is actually accurate. V'afilu b'makom, and even in a place she'en lachush lakach, that you're not worried about the situation. She'avo hagoy la'og Yehudi, where a non-Jew will kill a Jew. Yesh la'achmir, you should still be strict. She'en l'mkor l'goy talit mitzviyetzet, not to sell a non-Jew a kosher talit. The reason is because we're still worried about the prostitute who might walk around with a talit. I want to see what's happening here in the poskim. We mentioned
They're talking about this one.
listen, the Chaf HaShamayim, Rabbi Chaim Sofer. Do you know who the Chaf HaShamayim is? Chaf HaShamayim was a Sephardic rabbi who lived not so long ago. Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sofer. He was one of the great Sephardic rabbis in Yerushalayim. I believe he was an Iraqi rabbi, I believe. Passed away in Yerushalayim. He lived in the generation of Rav Kook, that was the generation. So not so long ago, in the early 1900s. He passed away before he finished writing his commentary on Shulchan Aruch. So his family asked Rabbi Yosef if he could finish the last volume and write it as if he was Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sofer. Meaning, don't write it according to your own opinion, write it as the way our father would write it. And so he did. The last volume of this book could be Rav Ovadia's, one of his early works, or not one of his works, depending on how you want to look at it. But he wrote as if he was writing for Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sofer the last volume on the laws of kashrut. It's a very special story. Unfortunately, there's a grandson who Rav Ovadia swindled us. He made up his own. He's one of those guys who's running around looking to make money off the printing press. And how
You
could Rav
mean
Ovadia afford?
he took on the arguments of...
He said that Rav Ovadia was. He took on the arguments of Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sofer as if he was him.
As it was him.
Yeah, and this grandson claimed it wasn't true. He wasn't being accurate to the story. So he made it. He's still alive. He makes YouTube videos all the time about this.
Well, did he have any conflict with his own views? I mean, did
I don't know. I'm not that much of an
Yeah.
expert in all those writings.
It's kind of hard to
But the
do.
Chaf KSH Kollel, he says that even if you think it's a situation where things are safer between Jews and non-Jews, it won't be the first and it won't be the last time that a non-Jew will wear Jewish clothing in order to kill Jews. So he doesn't believe that you can tell him that the reality has changed to the point where no one will ever disguise himself as a Jew to kill Jews. And therefore he says he doesn't believe that this halakha will ever change. And it should not change. And the Divrei Chachamim, the words of Chachamim on this matter, even if you think the situation has changed, unfortunately the anti-Semites have not changed with the halakha. And he felt very strongly about this. Page 391, it's under the two lines. It's a continuation from this halakha. V'chen asur, and therefore it's forbidden lehafkid or lemashken talit mitzuyetzet biyad hagoy. Let's say you need to put down collateral for a loan, something like that. You cannot use your talit, your tzitzit. Elam ken lefi shaar, unless it's for a very short amount of time. This is what Maran said in halakha.
Yeah.
If it's something you don't, you can say, wait, let me go to my house to get my wallet or something like that. Okay, that's not such a big deal. But to say, here, for next few months, have my talit, this is a problem. V'chen asur la'ashil talit mitzuyetzet hagoy, it's forbidden to lend the talit to a non-Jew. V'chen asur la'atid tzitzit b'talit shel goy, it's also forbidden if he has his own talit. Say, hey, Rabbi, can you teach me how to tie tzitzit? No, I'm sorry. I can't teach you how to tie tzitzit. V'chen asur lilmed hagoy seder hatalat tzitzit b'beged, and this is what we were discussing the other night. You can't also teach them how to tie their own tzitzit. Not only can you not do it for them, you can't teach them how to do it. Today, nobody's going to come ask you. There's so many YouTube videos and tutorials, and these halachot are almost irrelevant. V'aret talit mitzuyetzet biyad hagoy, and if you see a non-Jewish person who owns a kosher talit, it's fitting to buy it from him.
I need to buy it
Yeah.
from a goy.
Well, it's
That way he
finding-
won't have it. You're
so
buying
he
it away
won't
from
have
him.
it, but
Oh,
if
I
you just
see.
get another one,
Correct.
sell it for a high price and get another
The
one.
Rav Chaim Palaji, Rabbi Chaim Palaji, he writes that you shouldn't pay more for it than it's worth. This is a very big rule in Jewish tradition. When you're trying to take something away from someone who's not Jewish, you don't, for example, if a non-Jewish person kidnaps a Jew, this happens all the time in Jewish history, we pay a ransom, but not an unreasonable ransom. Because the moment it becomes too much, it'll become a trend. They'll do it again, and again, and again. The moment they kidnap one of our soldiers and they know they're going to get 1,000 soldiers back, at that moment, according to halakha, we're not allowed to free that person. It's a painful decision to make. Because if we don't, if Maram Yeronah, very good, he's the one who ties halakha. He was captured by the non-Jews, by a duke, and locked up in a tower, and commanded his community not to redeem him. He said, because if you redeem me, they'll learn that they can kidnap rabbis, and the Jewish community will always pay for them. And he died in that tower. He was one of the greatest rabbis of Ashkenaz, of Germany, the last of the Balei Tosafot, and the trend didn't continue because it didn't pay off. They had to support him, they had to feed him, and they never got their money. And this is a very painful decision to make, and it's not my decision to make.
Because happened with Shalit.
By the Gilad Shalit deal, this was a big controversy.
Yeah.
And not just his. He's not the first prisoner of war ever to be... on one hand, we want to say we never leave behind one of our boys. On the other hand, we don't always do the people a national justice for this. It hurts to make someone a sacrifice for the many. We should never be judged or tested in such a situation. But sometimes we say we don't negotiate. They'll learn that we don't negotiate. How many times have we bartered and then we get back a dead body instead of a live soldier? It happened before. It happened
And
to us
in Lebanon,
before.
it happened.
Correct. What happened then? They still got what they wanted.
Happens in Mexico with the cartel
All the
almost
time.
daily.
Yeah.
So if somebody knows that he's going to keep buying talitot and Jews are going to keep buying them off of him, he'll make a lucrative
Yeah,
business.
to make a
So we say,
killing.
you buy it for $10, I'll buy it for you for $10. $15, I won't pay for your talit. Sorry. And then you just leave the talit there. The son of Rabbi Chaim Pelagi, Rabbi Yosef Pelagi, in his footnotes on the Lev Chaim, he writes that he disagrees with his father, and that he thinks that it's important to take it away at any price. Okay, I can't. The halakha seems to follow the father, not the son in this situation. Mutar, it's permitted. Limkor legoy beged, to sell a non-Jew an article shel arba kanfot that has 4 corners. So you're talking about a talit. You're allowed to sell him a talit. She'en bo tzitziot, that does not have tzitziot. V'afilu hu beged ha'asui letzorach mitzvah tzitzit. Even if it's specifically made to have strings put in the corners. V'yesh be'kanfotav nekavim k'dei latil be'em tzitziot. Then it has on the corners holes to put the tzitziot inside. Meaning this is almost ready to go. He just has to buy the strings and do the rest. You're allowed to sell him this clothing.
What's the logic of that?
Because nobody's going to see a 4-corner garment and think that it's kosher without strings.
But he could get tzitzit and put them on.
He can also make his own talit. I mean, how far do we have to take this halakha into consideration?
Yeah.
We're saying this is the limit. The limit is we
That's
can't
the
sell him a
limit,
fully made tzitzit, and we can't help him tie the tzitzit. But to sell him just a talit article of clothing, we're allowed to do.
Like a poncho.
Correct. Oh, very good. Which that's a situation where it's not even a talit. It just is a 4-corner garment. Here he's saying even better than that. This is even if it's a talit. This is Bochat Hashem on the back of the whole bracha on it. You could also sell it. It's not better than that. And with that, we have finished Siman Chaf.
Yeah.
Siman Tov, Mazal Tov, Mazal Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazal Tov, Mazal Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazal Tov, Siman Tov, Yeilanu, Yeilanu, Ulechol Yisrael, Yeilanu, Yeilanu, Ulechol Yisrael, David Melech Yisrael. Chai v'kayam, David Melech Yisrael, Chai v'kayam. How many times do I see in the old city the Jews, people come in tourists, they march through the Muslim quarter to the Kotel, and they buy all their talitot and their kippot and their menorahs and their havdalah candles and it's like a whole Judaica trade of Muslims who hate us, and we're buying all the things from them. Now let's say a kippah. Okay, what is a kippah? What can be a non-kippah? But a talit is a serious deal. You can't buy a talit from him. You're assuming even talit is kosher. I'm positive talit's not kosher. It's from the Ramallah industrial zone. It doesn't come from anywhere kosher.
Ramallah.
And how do you tell? Very often I used to shop a lot in Arab stores, and I would go. You'll see that this beautiful picture they have of Tehillim, it's spelled incorrectly. Because what is you think that Fatima knows how to do the letters properly? She doesn't know how. But it's really a sad thing that they know that from Judaica they can make so much money from us. It's a
The same thing. I remember one time in a parking lot in Denver, someone was handing out a quote-unquote Jewish pamphlets, and you look at the Hebrew letters and they're obviously completely messed up and
Not
fake,
Hebrew.
and it's like, you're going to open up and it's going to be a Yashki leaflet.
correct.
Yeah, it's Jews for
This
Jesus.
is
Yeah, but it's so
Or
embarrassing.
best.
They think they can fool anybody.
Yeah.
unfortunately they do more than we would like. This is
In Miami, they have actual synagogues with Hebrew letters on them and talit and tefillin in the windows and guys with black hats and coats. At least they did.
people. The soul snatching hasn't stopped. They're still hunting us now, just in different ways.